Hey, what's up everybody? It's Chadrick. Congratulations to me, celebrating my first video. And we have a little something special today to help me celebrate and help me get it kick-started. So let's just get a little close up real quick. That is how do they do it in these videos? Yeah, something aged. It's just handcrafted and over 100 years old. My mom said we'll save it for special occasions, and that's not one of them. And I can't afford to replace this bottle after living in California for 8 months, so I'm gonna go ahead and put this down. Gonna kick off the video with something a little bit more in my lane. I just put regular tap water in here. It's not Perrier. No, not Perrier. Regular tap water. Pop the corn and feed the children, because this is a two-part video on my experience living in San Diego. So take everything I say with a grain of salt, kosher salt that is, today. So, with further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. All right, everybody, today I'll be talking to you about my experience living in San Diego, California. Please keep in mind this video is not intended to be a review on San Diego. In the video, I will be covering a couple things, sharing a little personal testimony and some of my trials and tribulations and things I went through in San Diego, but this is not a review on San Diego itself, if that kind of makes sense, whatever. I do want to say it took me a while to make this video just because it was my baby, it was my first video. I wanted to make sure that it was done correctly, and I wanted to convey a specific message in this video. So thank everybody for your patience. And before we get into it, don't be afraid to hit that like button, subscribe to my channel. I'm gonna have a lot more videos coming in the near future. I'm gonna have a lot more videos coming in the near future covering different topics and such. Also don't be afraid to share this experience. This video is basically, I'm sharing my experience with you all, and if you feel like this video, if you feel like this video is pretty beneficial and somebody who is maybe looking to move, whether it be out of state, down the street, to the back swamps of Louisiana or the middle of nowhere, Midwest, or even out of the country, I think this video would be a great template for them to use before deciding to move anywhere or make that next step in life. So, with further ado, let's get into it. So, born and raised in the sophisticated South, where everybody loves to vacation, aka Orlando, Florida. I've been born and raised all my life there. I have traveled to other large metropolitan cities and such, but none stand out to me like San Diego. No, let me stop. I went there twice on vacation, and I liked it, you know, and the second time I went there, I went on vacation. I was checking out places to live because I just always wanted to up and move somewhere, you know, make that drastic move, or I don't know, I just wanted something to really shake me up in life. So I visited San Diego. The company that I work for has another hotel out there. So I went there on vacation the second time, and I was stuck between moving to New York, Denver, which I have my own reasons for not choosing Denver, Colorado, or San Diego. I've always wanted to pursue a career or even a part-time job, or even seasonal, in voiceovers. So that was a big reason why I was stuck more so towards San Diego, or I should say California, more so like San Diego, because it's not too far from LA, or New York. Yes, I could go to Miami, but I just wanted something different other than Florida, just to get out and see the world a little bit. So anyhow, sorry, I'm gonna be all over the place, and I should be keeping on this to keep me on track. Like I said, yeah, went to San Diego the second time, yeah, trying to get into voiceovers. So trying to get into voiceovers, trying to pursue a career in voiceovers. So I ended up choosing San Diego, and I chose San Diego over LA just because I visited LA a few times, and one thing that I just don't really like about LA, and I'm sorry for everybody who lives there and decides to move there, this is not a bash on LA, this is my personal opinion, and we're all entitled to those. My thing was with LA is I just couldn't really get over the traffic, was one. I don't want to sit in the car that long at all. I hate driving, and in Florida, I drive everywhere. So that was one reason I didn't want to sit in the traffic. I think in LA, it's about 3 or 4 minutes per mile. So if you have to go 20 miles, you have to estimate your route time as be like close to an hour. So just to go 20 miles. So that was one thing, and also just I felt like LA was just dirty. At least New York has like a grunge aesthetic to it, and it kind of just flows together. I don't know. I just felt like it was really dirty, and there was a lot of homeless people. Like, I mean, I've been to other cities where there's homeless people, but like, I mean, it looks like they just drop off buses and buses of people to live there. But I get why, and they actually do give people bus tickets. But that's neither here nor there. Is the bus still running? But they really do give people bus tickets to California just because the climate year round is just pretty nice and mild, like what, like average of 80, I believe. And depending on if you're in the desert, it kind of gets probably a little bit more hotter than when you're inland and close to the water. Anyhow, so I didn't like LA, and also too, it was the traffic, the amount of homeless people that live there, and also too, just the people in general. I'm sorry, but one thing that really turns me off is if I feel like somebody immediately is just they're talking to me, but they're also like they're not. It's not like a genuine conversation. It's more of like just a networking thing. And I'll tell you guys this. And again, not a dig, not a read, no tea, no shade, no pink lemonade. But I feel like people are too busy networking in LA all the time. It's really hard to meet somebody who's being genuine. I feel like it's nothing but a bunch of open houses there. You go and you look and you see what's going on, blah, 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 blah. Nothing ever really happens. Nothing comes from networking of people for the most part. But again, that's just my experience. I feel like, you know, it's just nothing but a bunch of open houses. And if you really want to seal the deal and make things happen, you would go to Miami. So, with that being said, and of course, San Francisco. I had to move to San Francisco. I knew I would definitely be moving, being homeless. So yeah, so San Diego it was, and what was nice about San Diego, like I said, was it was about 2 hours on a good day with no traffic to LA, so I would go up pretty often and visit my sister. And also to, you know, what's nice about voiceovers is that you can do them from home. But I wanted to be close to that city where a lot of that work comes from, just to also network, but not be in the chaos, but just buy the chaos and go and come from, but not have to live in it. So that generally, just so y'all know, was the setting for my reasoning for wanting to move to San Diego, or California, I should say. Anyhow, so it was so crazy how the whole thing happened. I was there on vacation the second time in May. And the way that my job works is that there has to be something available for me to transfer to. I can't just up and transfer. At least with the specific job that I was full-time with. There has to be a position available to transfer. It's an available, I'm sorry. It's an apply to transfer. So the position, there has to be an open position in order to transfer. So with that being said, as I was in San Diego, finishing my vacation, I'll never forget, I was leaving and I found out that there was a position open. So I, you know, look at my sister and I'm like, you know, hey, should I apply for it? Like, I'm ready for it. Like, I can do it. Like, you know, and we thought about it. I thought about it for a little bit. And then I think that was on a Thursday. And that Tuesday, when I returned to work, I went ahead and I submitted my application and started, you know, the whole process with the interviewing over the phone and stuff like that. I thought I interviewed very well. You know, I felt that I was able to make a connection with one of the higher ups, explain to him my plans, because yes, I was going to California for voiceovers, but there's always a backup plan, you know, to excel and move up in the company that you're working for. So, you know, I expressed all my interests and what I bring to the table and such like that. I was super excited. I transferred to being a bartender, and I thought it was going to be the same concept of restaurant that I worked at for the previous hotel, but this was more like a craft cocktail bar, which was pretty cool, and I was really excited to elevate my knowledge about bartending and stuff like that, and it was just kind of like a means to an end, just to get my foot in the door, see how that company ran, and what positions are available later down the road and stuff like that. But I thought it would be a good way for them to see how I operate, bring certain concepts that I had here at home with me, anything to improve business, you know, improve business, increase revenue and such. So, you know, so then we have it there. I apply, get the job, you know, and it's the up and down of hearing back. It's the up and down of, oh my gosh, now I have to plan my own move. No one's coming with me. I'm gonna do a road trip by myself. Everything, just going through all those motions, making a game plan for myself, for what I was gonna do when I get there, what it was gonna be like, and you just have all these expectations. So all these things just running through your head, all these expectations. So fast forward, the last week or two was like extremely stressful for me. It's getting down to the wire. I'm getting ready to move. I I had just came back from New York one day, and immediately after getting off the plane, I felt like a real celebrity. Getting out of New York one day, getting off the plane, going to the studio to record these demos to bring with me to California. Go to the studio, was there for like 8 to 10 hours recording these demos. Shout out to Chris Short, thank you. Thank you, Chris Short. He's a sound engineer here in Altamont Springs, which is located right outside Orlando, Florida. He does good work if anybody is looking for him. He is a great sound engineer. He knows his craft. He knows what he's doing. Very professional, but very also down to earth and open-minded as well. So I highly recommend working with Chris, everybody. Thank you again, Chris. You're amazing. 3 days, you know, it's really hitting me. I'm about to move. I finally moved. It was so emotional. I finished my last few days at work. Eyelash. Sorry, I just got my eyelashes done from my friend Sue-Ann, and I just feel like I'm trying not to, like, I ended up, you know, finishing my last 2 days of work. That was emotional. So nice. Like, I'll never forget the day that I was leaving. My mom was there, and she was like, you know, doing my laundry and stuff like that, helping me out packing. It was so emotional for me leaving her. You know, and I finally was going to do it. I was going to make this drive out there to San Diego, start my new life, at least so I thought, and get it done. So the way I did it, and I encourage everybody, if you do have the time, please make a road trip out of it. I left here on a Tuesday, Orlando, Florida, and I got to San Diego on a Friday afternoon. So I made a road trip out of it. I went from Orlando to New Orleans, which was about an 8-9 hour drive. You know, kind of hung out in New Orleans, saw a little bit of like the French Quarters and stuff like that. And then the next morning, I went from New Orleans to Austin, Texas. And then didn't really do too much. I was just tired from driving. And then when you're passing different time zone, I don't know, your body just feels kind of weird on top of long driving. And then going from Austin, Texas to Tucson, Arizona, which Tucson couldn't have come at a better time because I was so emotional. Was like, oh my gosh, I have one more day and I'm actually finally there. It was just so nice, so zen, so, you know, it was just like the tranquility that I needed. And it was, Tucson, Arizona is really beautiful, and it's very, I loved the just nothingness around me. Like, I feel like that's just such a great place to go and disconnect. But so, oh, it's so interesting how, like, just to see the country too, and why I would also encourage a road trip, just to see the country from, you know, as green as it goes to very swamp-like to almost like green kind of desert to like the rocky desert to like the tumbleweed desert. You know, it just, the scenery is just beautiful just to see it and see how it changes. And also too, to see how the gas changes too. That's one thing. It's so in Florida, I get mid-grade gas. And like when I fill up, it's like 420 to like 480 miles when full. And then as I'm like, you know, in Alabama, Louisiana, it starts to be about the same. In Texas, the gas prices go up a little bit, but I started to get a little bit more gas in the car, started to notice. And as I get to places like Arizona and New Mexico, I mean, like, yeah, I'm paying more for gas, but I'm getting more gas. So I think I was getting like upwards, I think the most was like 630 miles when full. I'll be sure to include like little PIPs of like my road trip in the video. Yeah, which I was like, wow, this is pretty interesting. And then I finally like arrive in California and get like maybe 380 miles when full, and I'm paying probably twice as much as I was for gas. Whatever. Welcome to California. So I go to Tucson. I go from Tucson, Arizona. And also to wait before I leave Tucson, just to be aware, quick disclaimer: if you are making the drive, make sure that your car's good and ready to go. Make sure that your tires are changed. Make sure your oil is changed. Make sure your car is washed. Your AC works because you'll need it in the desert. Also, to be very cognizant of where you stop and get gas. Eyelash. Because when you get to places, the more west you get, the more rural, very rural, and I mean rural for like hundreds of miles. So you'll have some times where like you may not have a gas station for 160 miles, 80 miles, and so on. And use the bathroom also too, just because sometimes too, if there's not a gas station, there's not a rest area, it's really just like to stop and take pictures and stretch your legs because you'll be in the car for like so many hours at a time. I mean, I guess if you want to pee in the cactus, by all means do it, but if something comes out and pokes you, I warned you. I drove for an average of like 8-9 hours a day, and I wouldn't recommend anybody do any more than that. They go mid to late afternoon. My roommate Lydia was there to greet me, gave me the quick tour around the house, and just kind of, you know, welcoming me to the house and such like that. And invited me to a party that they were going on later because it was Bree's birthday. Hey Bree, happy birthday. It's almost like Bree's birthday again. Well, the year flies by so fast. He gets ready to leave for work. Later on, my roommate Tyler came in, and he was so nice to kind of like show me around the neighborhood a little bit. I needed to get some stuff from my room, so he was so kind to do that for me. Thank you again, Tyler. And then later that evening, I met my last roommate, Anna Bonana Khalifa Sharifa Osama bin Laden Banana, also known as Hanma. So I didn't really do too much with them that night. I didn't go to the party. I was just tired, whatever. Okay, cool. So I just slept and then whatever. Yeah, so I met my roommates. They were all cool. It was amazing. I was so thankful for the way that I met my roommates. When it does come time to meeting roommates also too, or finding a place to live, if you don't already know somebody where you are getting ready to move, just stay away from sites like Roomster, Rent a Room, and like those like unofficial, filled with bots, want you to sign up and pay the membership for no reason. Websites. Don't do any of those just because a lot of them, like I said, are bots, and some of them when you do contact people, and even if somebody does text you from a phone number, they probably don't live in the United States. They're probably somewhere in a hut somewhere in Nigeria or South America or somewhere in Asia. Basically anywhere that they can't help you out to get a place. And they don't manage it, I know that for a fact. They will call and use it through a computer for like calls and stuff like that. So just be very wary of who you give your number out to also. I was so lucky that a mutual friend that I worked with here in Orlando knew a girl who just moved from Orlando to here who worked for the same company. Charlotte, thank you for putting me in contact with Priscilla, who put me in contact with Anna and Lydia, who were running the house where I lived in for the time that I was in San Diego. So thank you all so much. You're all connected, thank you. Yeah, because finding a roommate was not difficult, but you know, it's more comfortable when you kind of know people-ish, or when it's like all. After arriving in San Diego, what I really liked about it was the neighborhoods were very developed. I felt like I didn't have to drive too far for anything. I was close to movie theaters, I was close to retail stores, I was close to dispensaries, I was close to get my car washed, I was close to getting a job, I was close to a lot of things. I know, but I was really close to my job as well too. It was just really convenient. Yes, gas is expensive, and I can't deny that. Like, I think on average I paid anywhere between $4 to about like $4.50 for the 7 months that I was out there in San Diego for gas. So yeah, and I was getting less mileage, but the way that the gas thing works is like it's a whole population density. The population's a lot more heavier in California, so it has a lot of additives and it goes less versus somewhere in like the middle of nowhere, Texas, where like nobody lives or the population's like maybe 20. So yeah, I liked how it was like very convenient. I didn't have to drive far for a lot of things. That was pretty cool. As far as like the transportation, I can't remember what it's called. I think it's like the Metro something. It looks pretty efficient for the most part. I think you would still have to have a car there. Kind of like in my head is I was expecting like more of a beach kind of city, kind of like a more Tampa, Florida city beach feel. I didn't realize that I knew it was laid back in California, but it was more laid back than what like I had anticipated, which was the change for me because I was looking for more fast-paced city. So I probably should have moved to somewhere like a San Francisco. But we'll get into that later. So I want to talk about working in San Diego. What was working like in San Diego? So I did transfer to San Diego with 2 jobs. One job just that I was at for like 7 years just didn't work out. And I kind of knew that it wasn't going to work out, especially when the manager says to me, you're only available 3 days. And I said, yes. Come to find out, when I heard how these labor laws work, it's like, well, why would you ask me if I was available for 3 days? I don't know. Why would you ask me if I was available for 3 days if I only intended, I was only going to be, if I was never able to work more than a specific amount of hours? And it's not like you were passing out overtime anyway. Anyways, so working in San Diego, I just want to get into it really quickly. Whenever you move somewhere, make sure that you are looking up the labor laws, make sure that you're looking up all kinds of laws, because different things will change different states. I believe in California, when you register your car tag, or if you do a change of tags or change of plates, I think you do have to pay like, I think it's done by weight. It's either California or Colorado that it's done by weight. But always do your research on different things. Like, you know, like in Florida, I think if you move somewhere and you're already a Florida resident, you have a week. But I think if you're new to Florida, I think you have like, I think it's a month or 2 weeks. I really can't remember. But it's just, you know, certain laws just to protect you from, you know, anything happening to you or hitting with fines and stuff like that. The way that the labor laws work in California are your fifth going into your sixth hour, you have to take a 30-minute break. Anything over 8 hours is considered overtime. So they look at overtime time for the 8-hour workday, not the full standard 40-hour work week. Which could be beneficial in some places, but then you do have to remember, you know, you do have to get a certain amount of overtime to offset the fact that your first few hours are just paying taxes too. I didn't really like the labor law. I mean, again, me not being from there where I'm used to, you know, I could work 12-hour days if I wanted to. That way I had some extra time to myself. I felt a little restricted. I felt like it was hard to get my 2 jobs that I had moved out there with to work in conjunction. I felt like I was working every day and I wasn't able to enjoy the city that I had just moved to. But it's like, you know, when I'm making less money, how am I supposed to get rid of one of the jobs? So that was a little frustrating. But again, if you're from there, you know what to do. You know how to kind of navigate everything. Maybe, you know, if I was from there, I would know what to do, but it was just so foreign to me. I'm like, how am I gonna get all this to work? So that was one thing I struggled with, the labor laws and getting accustomed to the labor laws. I think I actually got like a write-up for like not doing the proper punches or something like that. For that went in my file. Nothing serious, but it was just like, I really don't know when to take a break. So when it comes to working in San Diego, my work experience was so working at this craft cocktail bar, which is pretty exciting. It was a very small bar, and I guess it was not doing a lot of revenue. No, I mean, working at the craft cocktail bar was interesting. There wasn't really a lot of money to be made. You know, that was hard. And I think that was part of the root of my problem too, was that I wasn't making a lot of money at all. I mean, I felt like what I was making at that craft cocktail bar, working 4 days a week, was about the average of what probably like a 16 or 17-year-old would make every 2 weeks who works probably part-time or seasonal at some minimum wage job. So you could imagine a grown man, mid-20s, you can't really live off of that. And you can only dig into your savings so many times because it's with an out-of-state bank, and you can only call your mom and depend on your sister so much because, you know, and then I can't ask my dad for money because he's taking care of my son. So I had to make it work. So quickly doing what I usually do, of course I came there with plans and stuff to increase revenue in the bar and such like that. I feel like maybe I just came at a wrong time, and I feel like the upper management was not able to give me the attention that I needed. I felt like for a slight moment before, you know, they did get busy or pick up in season, I got a little bit of what I needed, but like I said, I just came at such a transitional time that I just don't feel like, I feel like my ideas were supported, but I just don't feel like I got the backing and 100% conviction that I needed in order to make this execution really work. And actually to see these numbers in the bars and to see these numbers increasing. And it was really nice from the other management to see like, hey, this is working. Hey, you know, we should definitely do this, blah, 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 X, Y, and Z. Kind of almost telling me things that I heard before, and I feel like I was almost just wasting my time. So on that side of working at that bar, it was a little sad. Because I wasn't really used to that. I was used to, hey, this idea is great. Hey, let's blah, blah, blah. You know, that was a little disappointing. They were able to help compensate me and put me like in other outlets and stuff like that in order to make money, you know, which was really nice. But I almost felt like it's a doctor who prescribes somebody medicine just to kind of medicate them up, have them feel fine for a temporary fix, and they're too high to realize what's going on. I kind of felt like that's what was happening, but I mean, it was a quick fix, yes. I wanted to improve the bar that I was at. I didn't really want to go anywhere, you know, just to also set everybody else up for success so that people don't feel apprehensive of wanting to work at that bar, you know, which I think sadly is kind of like what happened, whatever. So, I mean, like I said, they were nice enough to do that for me and put me in other places to make sure I was making money, but just didn't work out. And I mean, this is just for any manager. This is not a dig, this is not a read. This is for any management, and this is for anybody also to getting to what I'll get to in just a moment, my job hunting experience in San Diego. don't ever tell somebody. I think maybe just working in the industry that I work in is the excuse that I get tired of hearing from anybody, and it's not valid anymore, which the excuse that I get tired of hearing is busy. Busy should never be an excuse. I believe that, Linda in HR is busy. She still makes time to recruit people. I feel like the president is busy and he still has time to tweet. So you are not that busy. I think it is, again, just a quick way to just kind of shut somebody up and get some sympathy out of them. Is my eyelash falling out? But you're never too busy to, if anything, try to make some time for somebody. Say, hey, let's, try to compromise. Hey, can we set up a time to kind of get together, chit chat, whatever, X, Y, and Z. So anyways, moving along. In part 2 of this video, I'll be picking up where I left off, talking about job hunting, and continue to talk about what it was like living in San Diego, whatever. So that you guys don't get too full on tea, but also so I can keep the suspense going, I've decided to hold off a week before posting part 2 of my experience living in San Diego. So be sure to subscribe to my channel so that you're aware of when part 2 does post. Also like this video and don't forget to share this experience. Till next time, I'll do what the kids used to say or do back in 2006 or 2008. BRB.